Okay, in this next bit of video, let's go to what is this course organized like. So what are we going to do in order to get to learn all the stuff that we need to learn? Well, first of all, who is going to teach? Well, you see me here. I already introduced myself. I'm Gijs and this is my email address. I will not be the only lecturer, so I'll be doing the first 4 lectures. And the final 3 lectures will be done by my colleague Nassima Salmane. And then there is a secretary, so you'll see her actually in the so Nassima you'll see in the final lecture, but you'll also see her if you follow the online tutorial on Wednesday. There's a secretary if you need something, administrative on the administrative side, who is Mrs. Jelsma. So what is this course set up like? So the schedule is there will be weekly lectures, so 1 lecture per week. And this is either in this way through videos that will be then made available at the start of the week or earlier perhaps, but we'll try to make them available at latest at the start of the week. So if there's a video, then there will not be an online lecture on Tuesday, but rather you can watch the video at any moment that you find suitable. Whether that's Tuesday or not, that's fine, what you wish. Some of the lectures might be done online through Collaborate, Blackboard Collaborate, so then you can watch slightly more interactively, but also these lectures will also be recorded and made available, and those are on the Tuesdays, and you can find the exact time on the schedule, but the location will be online. Collaborate through the Nestor page. So apart from that, there will be tutorials. So what is a tutorial? In the tutorial, we'll discuss exercises. So they're basically, most of them are mathematically oriented, theoretically oriented expositions of theory and exercises. So we'll work through exercises which have questions and which will analyze models. That's basically the stuff that we'll be doing mostly in these tutorials. So as you know, you can either follow the online tutorials on Wednesdays, or the on-campus tutorials on Friday mornings. So on Friday there will probably be, now that we'll see that we see how many of you are registering for this, 2 sessions, so one at 9 a.m. and one at 11 a.m. And particularly for the on-campus tutorials, you can imagine there is a fairly big room, the blue auditorium, but it does have capacity restrictions and those are pretty strict. So you really need to register because we cannot have more than a certain number, like 45 students to fit those in these rooms under Corona rules. So there will be 6 tutorials in total rather than 7. There's 7 weeks of lectures, 6 tutorials. There will be no tutorials in week 14. And you can find the schedule of these tutorials on Nestor. So what's important, of course, as well is grading and examination. So basically the entire grade for your course will be based on a written examination at the end of the block. So this will be a written assignment. It will be take home. We cannot come here, unfortunately. It will be an open book exam because we cannot even see if you do use the book. So why not just let you use the book? And it will be at the end, as I said, of this block, count for 100% of the grade. So the questions in this open book exam, in this take-home exam, will be mostly formal questions like the ones that we'll do in the tutorials. And you'll actually get at some point some older exams, which I must admit were not open books and might be slightly dissimilar, but we'll try to stick as much as we can to the same format of doing exercises, modeling exercises, mathematically oriented exercise analyses in the exam as well. But there will also be a couple of essay questions, not too many, but a few will be essay questions, short essay questions based on the material discussed in the lectures. And that will be covered also in the books and in particular also the papers that we'll discuss. Okay. And you'll see examples of what you asked last year, for instance, again, as I mentioned, when we look at older exams. So the course material then is, there's this book, there's the problem sets, the tutorials, and there's the lecture slides that we are looking at now, and there's some research articles that are in your reading list. And let me just say something briefly about the relative importance. Well, perhaps not that, but let me just say this. The lecture slides will be guiding for what's important in the book. So the book is a very big book. You can see this, if you have this book. And obviously, we're not going to cover this whole book, and we don't expect you to cover this whole book. I can also say that this book is a theory-heavy book, and it might be, or it will be usually, most people, also me, when I saw this first, thought, no, this is pretty difficult. So the lecture slides will hopefully, and that's the idea here, will prepare you for reading the book. We want you to also have a look at the parts in the book that we discuss, in particular in the lectures. See how it is presented in this book, because this is the way in which modern finance theory in particular is conducted in research papers. So if you want to have anything to do with modern finance, in particular on the theory side, if you look at the recent paper in one of the better journals, this is the language that people will use. So you have to have been at least exposed to this during the academic master's part of the finance MSc. But we do acknowledge it's pretty difficult. So lecture slides is what you need to know. Read the parts of the book, in particular those that relate to the stuff that we did in the lectures. There will be other stuff that we did not address. You can obviously, you're welcome to also read that, but don't be worried that there are really more difficult things. If you think, I've never seen this before, then, well, then probably that might not be sort of expected of you to master for the exam. So what's very important as well is the problem sets. So as I mentioned, the tutorial sets, exercise sets, they will resemble a lot the exercises or the assignments that you will do in your exam. And then the research papers, they will be discussed as well in the lectures, and in particular there we'll also try to point out what are the important things here to gain from those research articles that are both to smaller extent theoretical, but to a larger extent actually empirical. So what are the course topics? So today we're looking at the introduction. Actually, after the break, so we talked already before in the previous bit that we're going to look beyond perfect capital markets. After, so in the next video, we'll actually be looking at models, at a model, a key workhorse model, if you wish, that we'll use to discuss how to go beyond perfect capital markets in this asymmetric information, moral hazard, adverse selection environments. Then we'll be looking at corporate financing. So in the next lectures, next weeks, we'll look at diversification, we'll look at sequential investments, we'll look at asymmetric information or hidden information, adverse selection, as I called it before. We will want to look at corporate governance, so at monitoring, at control rights, we'll do a little bit of earnings manipulation as well. And then we'll look at research papers, which might still have a little bit of theory, but also a lot of more empirics relating to this theory. So how do people in academic papers translate the stuff that we learn from theory? How do they translate it into a research question that you can try to ask in an empirical and answer in an empirical fashion? So those will be the topics, and you'll find the schedule for those topics in the course document, of course, which is on Nesta, which obviously you have found because these videos are there as well. So what's the course load? Well, formally this, like many other courses, is 5 ECTS. So what does that mean? It means we expect you to study approximately 140 hours on this course. So what does that mean? We will be spending more or less 20 hours a week. We have 7 weeks in order to pass this course. We expect you to spend more or less 4 hours either online watching videos like this one, or perhaps the online tutorial, or on campus if you come to to one of the on-campus tutorials, which leaves you 16 hours studying at home. So we expect a large investment of your time to get to master the contents of this course. So that's it for the organization of the course. I suggest you take a little break. I'm going to do that myself. And then we'll see each other when we'll discuss the fixed investment model. So we'll look at the first model basically that we want to sort of expand on in the rest of this course.